A refusal letter can shake you. It makes your heart drop, your plans freeze, and for a moment, it feels like the dream is over. But it isn't, because most refusals aren't truly final. They're signals, hidden messages about what the officer really thought, buried under standard wording. And if you know how to read that message, you can rewrite your outcome. I'm Jas Dhillon, licensed immigration consultant and founder of Real West Immigration. Over the years, I've learned something that changes how you see every refusal. The decision you received isn't personal, it's procedural, and that means it can be reversed. Let's walk through how that actually happens. When an officer reviews your file, they aren't reading it like a story. They're trained to scan it like a risk report. Their job is to protect the system's integrity, not to understand your emotions. So instead of seeing your dream, they see patterns, employment history, finances, travel record, timing, and they run those through a framework that silently scores your credibility. Every line of your file tells them something. If those lines don't connect, even slightly, a quiet red flag appears. It may look like a simple checkbox on your refusal letter: purpose not established, ties insufficient, travel history. Each phrase hides a logic gap. When an officer marks purpose not established, it doesn't mean your reason for applying was bad. It means your story and your data didn't line up. Your timeline, your finances, or your past choices didn't naturally lead up to your next step. Something felt forced. Now, ties insufficient isn't about owning a house or showing family photos. It's about predictability. Does your file on paper show that you'll keep your word, that you'll follow through with the conditions you've promised? If the answer is unclear, the risk score rises. Weak travel history doesn't mean you've done something wrong. It means the officer has no pattern to judge by. History equals uncertainty, and uncertainty means risk. So underneath every refusal, there are usually 3 fractures. Your story doesn't align, your evidence doesn't feel authentic, or your presentation doesn't make your case clear enough to trust. That's why resubmitting the same documents rarely works. Because if the logic of your story hasn't changed, the system reads you the same way, and the outcome repeats. When we rebuild a refused file, we don't add more paper. We rebuild the coherence of your story. We study how the officer read you, where the pattern broke, and how to reconnect it. We look at whether your job history truly supports the purpose you stated, whether your finances reflect stability or last-minute adjustments, and whether your education or your background genuinely led toward the program or pathway you chose. Once that story becomes consistent, once everything supports everything else, your file starts to read differently. The officer doesn't have to believe you anymore. The logic does the believing for them. That's the turning point, because IRCC doesn't reward perfect documents. It rewards predictable patterns. It rewards applicants who make sense. And when your application flows like a believable, natural progression of your life, that's when the doubt disappears. That's when the same system that refused you now approves you. Over the past year, we've seen people go from refusal to approval within a matter of weeks. Not because we added magic paperwork, but because we rebuilt the perception of trust. The moment the file feels authentic, the timeline feels real, and the intent feels consistent, the officer has no reason to hesitate. But timing matters. Submitting too quickly after a refusal before the core issue is repaired often triggers the same result. The system treats you as a repeat risk. When the rebuild is done correctly, when it reflects correction and maturity, the system treats you as a new, credible applicant. That's why we don't rush. We rebuild, verify, and realign your story until it answers every unspoken question before the officer can even ask it. Now, a refusal isn't failure, it's information. Handled properly, it becomes your clearest blueprint to approval. At Real West Immigration, we treat every refused file as a case study, a chance to read what the officer actually saw, to fix what broke the logic, and to turn that decision into a lesson that works in your favor. So if you faced a refusal, don't guess what went wrong, get clarity. Understand what your file really said about you, and rebuild it into a version that an officer can't ignore. Your next application shouldn't sound like a plea for another chance. It should read like a proof that you were always the right candidate, just misread the first time. The link to book your private consultation is below. Clarity today is cheaper and far more powerful than another refusal tomorrow.